In for Bacharach, and that goes in! Hugo Bacharach gives Flint City a 3-2. Buckley, the ball falls to Buckley. One-on-one with Etheridge. What a save!
Welcome into the first ever MSN All-State Media Day for girls soccer. Jonathan Turner alongside Dan Stigrat.
Ball comes in, a good hit! 1-0! Shot, another save from Etheridge! Rebound, and it goes in the back of the net. The Bulldogs up 1-0! Burzma, but then for Vlasma! 3-0! Stewart Heiss with a shot! Upper 90 and in!
Effectively today here on the Michigan Soccer Network, we are launching our new division of player recruitment videos.
Mario Canoe now finds Stock. Stock's got a left-footed banger. He shoots it, and it's in! The Red Hawks equalize!
Hey, I am joined now by a new head coach for the Oak University men's soccer program, Mr. Paul Dora. Paul, welcome to the Michigan Soccer Network.
Thanks for having me.
Well, first and foremost, I had a chance to read the press release yesterday, and one of the things you mentioned is honored and humbled to be in this new role at Oakland. I want you to go ahead and elaborate on that.
Yeah, I mean, that's genuinely how I feel. So, I mean, there's been a legacy of really high-level coaches here at Oakland, a very competitive and successful brand, and so I'm honored to kind of carry the torch now for as the head coach, but I'm humbled because those are big shoes to fill. Eric, is not here anymore, and I feel for him, but I also have a lot of respect for what he accomplished here at the university. I have a lot of personal indebtedness to him because he gave me opportunities in the game that I wouldn't otherwise have had, and he's a dear friend of mine. So there's some mixed emotions involved as well, but I guess publicly thank Eric for the opportunity that he gave me, because I wouldn't be here if he didn't take a chance on me.
Yeah, no, I mean, no question about that. And obviously, you're taking over a program that in the last, 5-6 years has been a very, very good program. Obviously, since you've been there in 2016 when you joined as a part-time assistant coach. I mean, they went to the Horizon League Championship finals in 2023 and 2021. You won it in 21. You fell short last season, and you have 19 players. It looks like maybe returning here to the roster for the coming year. You have some not big shoes to fill, but maybe keeping this thing going.
Yeah, that's part of it, right? I mean, Oakland has been a program that's experienced a lot of success, and I guess the old adage, success breeds success, is part of it. So, yeah, we've got a great group of young men that are excited to be a part of this program and want to be here, and they have high aspirations for success, not just in the Horizon League but beyond. And so, yeah, I'm excited to get started leading them and seeing where we can take it.
When there's a change or transition, obviously with the transfer portal and the way that it is today, it's much easier for athletes to look to a new opportunity, especially when things maybe could be difficult or changes are happening. How important was it for these players to know that, hey, there's a guy here in Paul Doro who is going to possibly take the reins here and move this program forward, and keeping them here at Oakland, because that's obviously the biggest challenge right during a turnover.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit easier for them because I've been here, so they also have a relationship built in with me. But the game is built around highs and lows and overcoming adversities. So some of the conversation that we have with players revolves around that, whether it's playing time or they're struggling in their classwork, or you name it. The game is built on adversity and who can overcome that and be successful. So yeah, they've dealt with a lot in the transition. I know it wasn't easy for them, but they handled it in stride, and I was actually really proud of the way they came through it. So,
no, that's really, really cool. And Paul, I have to imagine, obviously the process for being, the interviewing process and the national search and all the things that go along with that, but getting the phone call getting called into Steve Waterfield's office or the phone call, that moment, what was that moment like for you as to receive that notice that, hey, you know what, you're taking over a Division I college program?
Yeah, it was a little bit surreal, who would have guessed when I started my playing journey from a small country town in Richmond, Michigan, to coming to Oakland as a player, and then continuing on, giving back to the game once I was done playing by coaching, that it would have led me here. I wouldn't have guessed. So it was exciting, like I said in the press release, humbled and honored. Both emotions are real. So but yeah, it was, nice to be wanted for sure. The process of interviewing and kind of proving your value is grueling. But it is kind of a refining fire in that you reevaluate your philosophies and your vision, and what you want to be as a coach, and what the players need from a head coach, and what they need from a program, and all aspects of it. So it really does help you redefine your why or your vision as to what it is that you're doing. So it was beneficial, but absolutely exhausting and brutal.
No, I could only imagine, and obviously full circle for you because you played for Oakland back in the day, right? As an athlete for the soccer program, and there's a lot of coaches out there that are, or a lot of players that I think have aspirations of one day maybe being a coach, and maybe coaching at your alma mater, right? And being able to have the ability to lead a team that you are part of as a player. Talk about that for a second, because that's again, it's not unique, but it's unique to you.
Um, it is. I think Oakland has a certain, soul to the program, and to the extent that I can continue to breathe life into that soul here as a player, who kind of got branded with the program under Gary Parsons, and just the value that I got from being part of that, trying to give that back to the existing players. And they don't realize it now, and maybe you should revisit that question in a year with me, but the players don't realize it now that they're developing relationships that will last their entire lives. Players that I played with here at Oakland, coaches and people that I've been exposed to due to playing at Oakland, are some of my best and longest friends. Stood up in my wedding, have been involved in all aspects of it, not just from an alumni perspective, which is very cool, and Oakland's alumni are the best, but from a friendship and from a relationship perspective. So the game aside, like, life happens at Oakland too, and it's a really cool process to see develop.
No, and it's really cool to see that, right? And because again, as a former player who played for high level here in Michigan, if someone called me from Troy Athens tomorrow and said, "Hey, you want to coach at Athens?" I might say yes. But
There's a lot of
I want
pressure
to
built in too, though, because
well,
those alumni, they'll
I
turn on you quick.
no, hey, the
If they
goal
don't
is
think
to
you're doing
you
what
got to go
needs
out
to
there
be
and
done,
win,
they'll
right?
let you know.
That's the expectation at this level. And obviously over the last number of years, Oakland's been in the conversation for winning a title, right? You've made it to the NCAA tournament back in 2021, and so yeah, the expectations I'm sure are very high, especially with a program that might returning a good number of players from last year and some new talent coming in. So, but Paul, I mean, there are expectations, and now that you're in this role, you're the head coach. Before, as an associate head coach, the eyes aren't on you, right? They're on you now, right? And that pressure is going to be there. How do you manage that? Obviously, you're just getting into this role, but I mean, you're not unfamiliar with the pressure. So how do you handle that new pressure that you're going to have in this new role?
Well, you're absolutely right. It is a different dynamic because, as an assistant coach or an associate head coach, you give your opinion, and then the head guy makes the decision, and you support that, or you help him vet those ideas, but ultimately it's not your decision. Well, now it is. So obviously you're going to enter into every decision cautiously, and but sometimes it's you know not tactically, but player decisions. Sometimes it comes down to, who do I think can help win, and you got to live by those decisions. And I think if you put some thought into it and you explain and you communicate that to the players, they might not agree with what you're saying, because they felt they should have started or they should have received some more minutes, but they can certainly understand where you're coming from. So keeping an open line of communication with players, that same goes for administration and with coaching staff as well. I think if you can explain the reasons behind your decision, not everybody's going to love them, but they can understand kind of the dynamics that went into making them.
Yeah, no question. And then you talk about challenges, right? The challenges of going from being an assistant and I can only imagine. I was never necessarily an assistant in any of my coaching roles. I was always the head coach. But going from an assistant in a program, probably very similar to that, and going to the head coach, very similar to maybe, hey, you're without putting this in the wrong term, but you're an assistant manager going to general manager at a restaurant, right? You're sometimes the employees, the staff will really much thoroughly enjoy that, and others might not. It's a difficult sometimes change to go from that role where you are, as you said, maybe a lot of times assistant coaches can be more likable than the head coach just because of how the dynamics are. And do you feel like that the challenges of going from being in that assistant are going to be harder for you in the head coach role, or do you feel pretty confident in all that?
Well, I'm confident, but it is something that has to be navigated, right? Because the relationship of an assistant coach with the players, for example, is different, because they look to you for advice and for coaching points and things like that. But they know ultimately the head coach makes the decision. So whether that's scholarships or playing time, or you put whatever term you want on that, the head coach is the guy. So they know ultimately they have to prove their value to him, or they have to get his consent to anything that's going to happen. I don't think it's going to be a problem. I communicate quite openly with the players, and I'm also a guy that I'm going to get it wrong sometimes, and I'm okay putting my hand up. And as the head coach, everything that goes wrong is my hand in the air. So I'll own my own mistakes, and I'll even own some other people's, because that's kind of, you got to have broad shoulders, I guess, if you're gonna fill that role. And we'll work through those as they come up, those hurdles and speed bumps. I'm sure there will be a lot of them, but it's a really good group of players that all have a common goal right now, and so I don't expect anything to be insurmountable.
No, very, very good. I've got two final questions for you. This first question is in regards to, all right, so you receive the phone call from Oakland. Hey, you've got this job. What's the first phone call you make after that? What's that first call?
See, I was absolutely inundated with texts and phone calls throughout the process going, hey, when's Oakland going to make a decision? Is it you? Is it you? And they all came from the right spot, and it was people that were hoping and praying that I was the ultimate decision. But the first call, I think it was the first text that I sent out was because my wife already knew, so I think it was to my mother. She was absolutely relentless through this process and very supportive. Her and my father both. Probably attended every Oakland game that I was at, certainly every game, and made road trips when I was playing here, and come to games still today as to support me as a coach. So I think the first text I sent was to my mother.
Very, very cool. And this last question is, we talk a lot here on the Michigan Soccer Network about food. It is one of the things that we love talking about. Typically when you think about your teams, you think about all these environments that you're in when you're coaching and you're playing, and food is always close by, right? Yes. It's always nearby. There's snacks, there's lots of food, right? So first off, what is your go-to meal? Like not as a coach, but as a go-to meal. If you could have it, today was your last meal, what would it be?
My last meal. Wow. I might go with my wife's shepherd's pie.
Oh,
out of this world. It's delicious.
All right. Well, very, very, very cool. Hey, Paul, first off, congratulations on the new role as the head coach of the men's soccer program at Oakland University, where you play in the Horizon League, fighting for Horizon League titles and championships. So we wish you much success, not only at Oakland, but also as your role as the head coach of the Flint City Bucks this summer.
Thank you very much.